Hello, this is Gary Schnitkey, and this is a Farm Management Insight with a review of prevent plant provisions. Prevent plant payments can be taken if we have taken a combo product, which would include plans for revenue protection, RP with harvest price exclusion, and YP. If ECO and SCO are added to those products, it does not impact the prevent plant payment. The prevent plant payment is based on the coverage level of the underlying RP or combo product. Prevent plant payments are not available if we take area plans of insurance such as ARP. If we take a combo product, prevent plant payments become available, or a claim for a prevent plant can be made once a final plant date has arrived. For Illinois, most of those prevent plant payments for corn, most counties have a prevent plant payment date of June 5th. The extreme southern counties in Illinois have a May 31st. Again, if we reach that date, we can take a prevent plant payment. Similarly, if we reach the final plant date for soybeans, we can take a prevent plant payment on soybeans. Those dates happen to be June 15th for northern Illinois and June 20th for southern Illinois, or central and southern Illinois. The prevent plant payment will equal the trend-adjusted APH yield, actual production history yield, and that yield is set based on a history of yields from a unit times the projected price times the coverage level, and the higher the coverage level, the higher the prevent plant payment, times a 0.55 factor. And that payment factor is specific to a crop. It happens to be 0.55 for corn. If we took a buy-up option, we could have increased that by 0.05 up to 0.6. If we have a 200 bushel APH yield, 590 projected price, 85% coverage level, a 0.55 payment factor, the prevent payment is $552 per acre. We have a tool called the planning decision model, which looks at the economics of taking prevent plant versus planting corn, and also the same thing for soybeans. Whenever the cash prices, projected cash prices for the fall, are above the projected price, almost always planting will look more attractive than taking the prevent plant payment. If we look at an example of a 710 price, which would be close to a 2022 situation for harvest price, or prices at harvest, versus a 590 projected price, we will typically see planting, particularly early in the late planting period, to have higher payments than taking the prevent plant payment. If those harvest prices are at or below the projected price, then the economics of that situation change. The amount of inputs that have been applied up to this point will also influence that decision. If we do decide to plant after the final plant date, there are risks. We could get lower yields and lower prices than we've made in our projections, and that could cause net returns from planting to be less than those from prevent plant. The crop insurance guarantee will go down after the final plant date, and it will go down 1% throughout the late plant period. So as we get later in the planting period, we will have lower guarantees, so that will increase the risk of planting. Also, the APH yield, which will be used in future use to set guarantee, will be based on what is planted. And again, the APH yield is typically based on a history of yields from a unit. If prevent plant occurs, there isn't a zero yield, but there is no yield from prevent plant. And just as an example, let's say we have 500 acre unit for corn. 400 acres of that get planted and 100 acres are in prevent plant. The 400 acres that get planted have 180 bushel per acre yield. That 180 bushel yield will be used in setting the APH in future years. Here's the risk. We get a low yield from planting, and that lowers our APH yield for future years. Another detail associated with prevent planting is the acres eligible for prevent plant. As a guideline, the maximum acres planted to a crop are what will be the maximum acres, given that there are no changes in acre sizes over time. And let's just give an example. Let's say we have a 100-acre unit that has stayed constant for the last 4 years, and the maximum acres of corn planted was 75 acres. The maximum amount of acres eligible for prevent plant is 75 acres, and if we plant 50 acres, then 25 acres are prevent plant. Again, those 50 acres are planted to corn. So if we have 75 acres eligible for prevent plant 50, then we're eligible for 25 acres of prevent plant. Prevent plant payments will become available once the final plant date has been reached, and you can read more about those decisions in the resources listed in the video description below.